Hello and welcome to Weber Tech Tips. First of all, I'd like to apologize for the crappy video quality as I'm currently using the Logitech webcam C210. It wasn't the greatest when it came out a little over 10 years ago, and in my opinion, it no longer competes with the current high-tier webcams at all. Anyway, in the near future, I will have a higher quality webcam and hopefully a good quality camcorder, so please expect higher quality videos within the next month or so. Anyways, today's video is going to be rather simple. We're going to be talking about laptop cooling stations and whether I think they're a good idea for the average person. We're going to be using my old Dell Latitude D620 series laptop. Other than the fact that the 2 GB of memory from factory have been replaced with a 4 GB kit, it's physically the same as it was when it was manufactured. It is currently running Windows 10 Professional 32-bit as it has a 32-bit processor. Now, to make this testing valid to the average person with little to no computer experience, what I did for a laptop cooling station is I went to the local resale store and bought the cheapest model they had. I ended up with one from iHome costing roughly $4. Anyways, we are going to be doing all of our testing on IDA64's built-in system stability test with everything checked except for stress system disk. The reason I'm not stressing the hard drive is I didn't want its age to hinder our test results. I also didn't want it to fail and then invalidate all results. So we did 3 tests. In the first test, it was just sitting on the counter as if it was sitting on your lap, no cooling station attached. In the second test, it was sitting on the cooling station, but the cooling station was not turned on. The reason for this was to elevate it from the surface it was sitting on to see if that made any difference to cooling performance. The third test, I turned on the cooling dock. The third test is the only test in which we have any airflow coming from the cooling station. Between each test, I turned the laptop off for 1 hour and left it sit with the lid open so that it could vent heat and cool the internals down. This way we would have a fresh start for each of our tests. Results will be shown in graphs in a moment. Now, I'm sure that there's some of you that made no sense whatsoever. However, it did make some sense to me. It seems that this cooling station did more of moving the heat around within the machine than actually dispersing it from the machine. In terms of fan speed, what I'm seeing is that when the laptop sits directly on the countertop, there's a lot of resistance into pulling the air into the laptop because it has to pull it in from around the bottom, and there's a very restricted space there to pull the air through since it sits so low. Now, the reason the fan speed would have been higher when it was up on the cooling station, but the cooling station was not turned on, was because a lot of that resistance was now gone, which means that even though the laptop is receiving the same voltage and being told to run at the same speed, it's now able to run faster because there's less negative pressure behind it. Now, when we turned the cooling station on, fan speed came down. That would be representative of the fact that with help moving air, the fan didn't have to spin as fast to get the same airflow. So it actually wasn't running at 100% that time. In terms of CPU, package, and core temperatures, they're pretty much related to temperature of air and amount of airflow through the heatsink. As we increased intake on the laptop, it appears that CPU temperatures went down. That was to be expected. What surprised me, but does make sense to me, is that the DIMMs, being the RAM modules, did heat up when we added the cooling station. The reason for that being that there's a door in the middle of the laptop with slits cut in it to allow air into the DIMMs. That would be pulled across the DIMMs, but when we started blowing on them or even raising it up so that air could get in there better, it was smacking against them from directly underneath instead of being pulled across them, which raised their temperatures. So it would seem that the lesson of the day is that you cannot get good cooling for $4. Please spend more if you wish to cool down your machine. And honestly, when laptops start to run hot, if it's not solved by cleaning them out and applying new thermal paste, it's probably not going to be solved, because laptops don't have room for larger, more powerful cooling systems like desktops do. When they start to run hot, they're going to run hot. There's not much you can do about it. Buying a cooling station doesn't really help. Now, there may be more expensive ones that are more elaborate in the way they provide air that may be a little more helpful, but from what I learned today, the cheaper ones are no help whatsoever. So that's it for today on Weber Tech Tips. If you want to see more higher quality videos, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That way I know the channel is beginning to become a success. And then I'll go out and buy better equipment and we'll get better quality videos as a result. I'll also try to put more effort into editing, as this one was made in about an hour.